gonna get cancelled for this. You may have these genuine connections with people, but you will still feel lonely.
This is gonna sound very morbid, right? You're surrounded by people who constantly talk about what's the meaning of life, you know? You're going to be so tired.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Luke. I'm from A Pocket Full of Grace. I'm a podcaster, speaker, and writer.
And my name is Rebecca. I'm from Grace Space, currently practicing as a registered and licensed counselor.
Yeah, I'll take that.
That's a very good question. This is just my two cents. I do feel that with the advancement of technology, it does keep us in a space where we become more and more isolated. So like you see family dinners, everyone might be on their phone.
Right.
Sometimes people can be too engrossed with what's happening in the outside world.
Right.
That they don't really realize what's happening just around them and the vicinity. And what technology can offer, especially social media, can be more interesting because sometimes it can feed into maybe an alternative reality that you have when it comes to life.
Yeah.
Or a certain fantasy lah.
Yeah, entertainment and all
that.
that.
Yes, exactly. You know, like at the tip of your fingers, you can search for anything on Google or about anything in the world.
Yeah.
And you can completely be sucked into that particular world. So I think why people tend to become very lonely is that when you get engrossed in this technological world, that you don't invest you know, in your connections or perhaps your family and friends as a result of it.
Yeah. I think in my world, there's a lot of issues of competence, in a sense that when you're in social situations, there's a lot of practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to making friends, for example, I think a lot of my friends struggle with finding friends at work. Because of the lack of practice that they have, especially during the pandemic as well, where they didn't have that opportunity to practice making friends and making small talk and being able to, go past that and making connections, real genuine connections with other people. So I've noticed that my friends, and to some extent even myself as well, they tend to have I guess a fear or a growing fear of that practice. I think when it comes to, I'm curious about your perspective as well. When it comes to social media, how do you feel that it's changed people in terms of their social interactions with others?
Well, people can interact through a medium. It's not like before technology where people write what, a letter a month.
Yeah.
And then by the time when they meet, they have to talk for hours and stuff because they don't know when's the next time that they will meet each other again.
Yeah.
So the connection becomes way more genuine than what it is. And as much as I don't want to use this word, I do think that technology does slightly cheapen the quality of our connections because everyone is just a text, a call away.
Yeah.
Of course, there's the bright side of things where we no longer need to wait for a letter a month, to get connected to people.
Yeah.
But sometimes the convenience of technology also gives us a false representation of, okay, we don't really need to invest as much time, to build these connections and make sure that they are of quality and they are for the long term because my friend is just a text away or a call away. Yeah. So the convenience does change the landscape of things. Yeah, but to add on to what you said, right, where during the pandemic, where people don't really exercise their social skills as much anymore, do you think that a sociable person, people who are equipped with social skills, are they more likely to be less lonely?
That's a good question. I'm not too sure. I think when it comes to sociable people, I'm thinking more towards extroverts and how they sort of view relationships and friendships. I would think that they can actually feel more lonely, more isolated. Not necessarily because of the skills that they have that is, not being used or utilized fully during the pandemic or anything like that. But I think it's because of their personality and how they are so wired for connection. A bit more than introverts, or in a different way compared to introverts. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I grew up surrounding myself with a lot of people.
Right.
Okay, I won't try to decide whether I'm an introvert or not.
Okay.
But generally, growing up, even though I was surrounded by a lot of people, it doesn't mean that I am connected to them.
Right.
And sometimes in a sea of people, you can feel isolated too. Because it also depends on how you define connection too, right? Like every stage in life, we connect with people in very different ways.
Right.
So when you were younger, how you connect is more of, as long as we vibe, we have similar interests, you know, we can have fun, then connection forms. Right? But as you grow older and adulthood comes in a way where you have finances to manage, you have your career that you have to progress in,
responsibilities.
Then you think, correct, and then you will start thinking about like, starting a family, settling down. The nature of the connection changes over time, or more like the expectation of a quality connection changes over time, right? And that happens in such a way that you can feel lonely in a sea of people. Like, I don't know about you, but I've heard people who maybe they have been friends for decades, you know, with this person, for example, like they have been in school together, but as they grew up, they drift apart.
Right.
Because you were connected based on similar interests, based on fun, but as you grow older, your priorities change. The type of connections you're looking for is different too. So if you are placed in a situation where this is the only type of people that you have, like for example, like those that are fun, they connect through similar interests, but you're looking for something deeper, for example, you know, you're looking for understanding, you're looking for perhaps the ability to talk about conversations that are beyond just what we see, for example, then
Deep
you
things.
you wouldn't find the same fulfillment and the same kind of connection. Then you end up feeling alone or lonely.
I think that's quite a good point as well. I think when it comes to having people to have deep conversations, and I'm not too sure as well why, but I've started to notice that a lot of people aren't very fond of having those conversations, right? And it could be because of social media, it could be because of culture, it could honestly be because life is just too stressful and they just want to talk about something silly and like just laugh at memes all day, that kind of thing. But I've noticed that when people shy away from deep conversations and really having that uncomfortable at times, slightly hurtful at times, conversations with other people, then they don't really build deep connections with other people. like I've noticed with my group of friends, like my buddies, we have these conversations. Well, at this point in time, a lot of us are kind of going through a rough patch, right? So
Right.
we're having these conversations more often, and so through these conversations, we get to build more genuine connections with other people. And I've noticed that it's only with my group of friends. Like when I go to, for example, with my friends at church, I can't have those conversations. No matter how hard I try, like I'll be like, oh, what do you guys think about, this is going on in my friend's life and things like that. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, that's so bad, or oh, so sorry, let me pray for you. And then after that, they'll just stop, and that's about it. So I don't know. I'm wondering is there a reason as well why people are so, I don't know, just so scared or afraid of having these deep conversations and all that.
But I do think that there is a different perspective to it.
Okay.
I think you and we are the kind where we will question about life. And we will think about things that generally people don't think about.
Yeah.
Can be very brain heavy.
Yeah.
If I can word it that way.
Yeah.
But I also realize that connection, or what we call genuine connections, right, can be defined very differently for other people. Okay. So sometimes it's not necessarily them being afraid of these conversations. It's just that maybe they prefer a different kind of connection because of a certain lifestyle that they have. Like I have this particular friend, right, where she is in a pretty high-paying job.
Okay.
High-paying job, obviously, it comes with its stresses, right? Yeah. So she tends to keep her friendships light.
Right.
Because of how high-strung her life is, that she doesn't want to spend more time thinking about things that will drain her energy even more, So she gathers with people that are similar, where it's just coming together, having a fun time together. Yeah. Then you have people where, this is what I experienced with my own friend group, where we met in uni. They probably know who they are if they watch this. And we started off with fun. We started off with interests. And it's just right place at the right time. Because in uni, it's in an enclosed community, right? So it's easier for you to make friends. You just
see everybody every day.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So you just vibe with them. Even if you're from a different class, that's fine too.
Yeah.
And you vibe. But as we grew older, I don't know about them. But some of us, we felt that the relationship became pretty stagnant, where we only meet maybe for birthdays and stuff, and that's it. Very maintenance-wise.
Yeah.
It was one of the years that we sat down and we decided to play card games. Something like We're Not Really Strangers or something like that. I think that's what it's called. And we started exploring the deeper questions.
Wow.
And it kind of broke the ice altogether, that now we don't feel the elephant in the room anymore.
Right.
We still gather to have a fun time, but we know that if need be, we can talk about those deep stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and if someone really needs help, we will actually be there.
Wow.
Yeah, so there is, it depends on what the need is that you want to fulfill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you need to make sure that you are in an environment that actually fits you with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you could be a very fun person also.
Yeah.
I'm flipping the narrative, because right now we're talking about deep conversations and people being afraid of having them. Then this person will feel like fish out of water. Right. But it could be the other way around too.
Yeah.
Where you are a fun person, you want to really just explore and be adventurous about stuff, go with the flow, but you're surrounded by people who constantly talk about what's the meaning of life, you're going to be so tired. Yeah, and both of these people, in different contexts, they will end up feeling very lonely.
Yeah, that's true.
So what is a genuine connection, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering as well, maybe what is a healthy view of that, of having, because I would agree with you. I think when we have too much of one side, or go to the extreme of one side, we can lose out on a lot of, like you mentioned, genuine conversations and a different kind of connection. Would you say then that it will be healthy for the typical person, in their 20s? I'm thinking not in uni, so there's no similar interests and all that kind of stuff. You have to put in intention and effort to maintain friendships and connections. What is a healthy view of that? Or should they sort of try and strike a balance between both the spontaneous, the fun, the adventurous, and then also the deep and introspective kind of thing? Should they strike a balance with that?
This is going to sound very cliche, right?
Okay.
But I really think that it's just a you do you kind of situation.
Right.
Like a few years ago, I would have been, the more friends you have, the better.
Right.
And that kind of helped me through a lot of tough times, because whenever I feel like I don't have anywhere or anyone to talk about my problems, I will always be comforted by the fact that at least I still have these people around, even if I don't reach out to them for things,
Right.
But now it's more of like looking at how deep can we go. The deeper we can, the less judgmental and the safer it feels, the more comforted I feel.
Yeah.
Right? So there is no, I wouldn't say that there is a, if you do this and this and this is healthy.
Right.
I can't give you like a list of criteria
Right.
and to get yourself assessed whether this is a healthy friendship or not.
Right.
Yeah, or a healthy connection. It really depends on what your life currently is and how does genuine connection fit into the picture.
Okay.
Yeah, like for example, just very everyday problems, right? Like if you are a mother that has 2 children that is like below 4 years old, you can't be hanging out with a group of friends like twice a week.
Right.
You know, your kids need your attention, your husband needs your attention. Maybe if you stay with your in-laws, they need your attention too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's also realizing that it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of situation.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you can make friends with mothers who are going through the same thing too. Then you bond over baby products. Like
Right.
what's the best diaper for your kid or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing. If you are not in a family, and maybe you are in, like example, like my friend, right, who is in a very high-strung career, then maybe it's mixing around with people like that too, to kind of know whether they are going through the same struggles as you, how do they manage it, does that work for you?
Being able to relate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think personally, for me, a healthy balance would be to find people who are in the same season as you are, or the same stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least you bond over the same celebrations and also the struggles.
Right.
Yeah, but of course, with that being said, I'm not saying don't make any friends that are younger than you or older than you.
Right.
Yeah, it's just be sure to mix around with people that you know that, okay, these are the same kind of situations that we are in, then at least you have someone to fall back on.
Yeah.
Then you won't feel like you're the only person in the world that's going through what you're going through.
Yeah.
How about yourself? Like, what do you think a healthy balance is?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I agree. I think what you're saying makes sense. But I find myself in my season and in my work, I need people around me who can really think deep things for me. Of course, I also have buddies who are more laid back, more relaxed and all that. And by all means, I think that's also a good group of buddies of mine. But I've noticed that the deeper connections that I have with people, they usually come out of being able to share struggles. And so I would think that's something that I don't know. Maybe I'm a little biased. I tend to think that people who can journey with you through dark times and who really, like you mentioned, don't judge, don't condemn or make you feel ostracized. Those people really do have a special place in my heart. We can go out at 12 a.m. and talk until the sun rises, and we can really just have hard conversations, about life, about struggles. There'll be guys who just come to me and they'll be just crying, and we'll just have conversations about that. And so I feel like it would be great if people can have that, even though they are in a stage of life where they're a bit more relaxed or that kind of thing. Just having that ability to have, in my case, it would be like having a brother, someone who can journey through the good times and the bad times. And I think if people are feeling lonely, that's something I would encourage them to do. Being able to be a brother or a sister to someone. And in so doing, hopefully in due time, right? Hopefully sooner than later, they will find others who will be brothers or sisters to them as well. So that's what I would view as a healthy perspective of friendships. Just having people who can go through dark times. Which may be a bit biased now that I think about it.
But it also sounds like it's a search. It's not something that you connect with someone and then you just get that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I think some people aren't able to have that, maybe because of their life experiences or their own personality types. I think they just don't know how to have really deep conversations.
Or they don't know what they're looking for.
Or that too, yeah. So I don't know. I think if they are, maybe not knowing what they want to or what they're looking for, that's a good place to start, I would think. Being able to have a willingness and a patience to have conversations with people, both lighthearted and also heavy and deep ones.
But does it mean that it's okay not to be lonely?
That's a good question. I'm at that stage of life where I think when it comes to feeling the feeling of loneliness can be very pervasive, in the sense that you may have these genuine connections with people, but you will still feel lonely. And I think it could just be because of just how life is at times. Some stages you could be going in the same direction with other people. You can have the same stage in life, the same job type, the same everything. But there will be some experiences that just by nature will be very isolating. And I may be wrong here, but that's just what I've noticed, where people just have these experiences. Like I would think, for example, with mental health, right, in where we are, when it comes to mental health struggles, by default, you're going to feel alone, because of how unique the experience is. So even though, for example, with me, I have OCD, and if I talk to other people who have OCD, I will still feel an element of loneliness and isolation, and it's not on their part, like it's not their fault. They are super empathetic, they're super kind, and they have their own struggles as well, but it's just because of how unique the experience is, that I would still feel lonely. So I think I lost track of the question.
No, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, how do you make peace with that? Because there are certain types of loneliness where if you surround yourself with the right people, then you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how do you make peace with something that is unique to you?
Well, for me, I think faith comes into play. Of course, it may not be the same for everyone, but for me, I think my faith comes in knowing that there is a God who genuinely understands, who knows what I feel, not just as a creator, but also as somebody who has walked through. In light of this, it'd be loneliness, right? Feeling lonely, feeling isolated, and he was surrounded by people. Jesus had all kinds of disciples and people around him, but in the end, he also felt lonely at times. And so I take comfort in that, knowing that there is a God who can relate to that. I think that's how I sort of make peace with that, just bringing my faith into the perspective. Yeah. What about you?
Well, I grew up feeling lonely too, but not so much loneliness, but more of like feels like no one really understands what goes through in my head.
Right.
And you tend to feel like because people don't understand, then you start questioning your own existence, like why am I here on earth and stuff. But I think as I grew older, I can proudly say that the way that I coped with it when I was younger without realizing that this was a problem is I just surround myself with a crowd. Thinking that things are going to be okay. But then as you grow older, and like I said, your priorities change, what you're looking for changes. Then I realized that all fun and games is not enough for me anymore. Then I started seeking out people who could understand me. But of course, I'm not saying that I'm like a super complex human being or anything like that, but it's that same level that I'm looking for, the exact same level. That they would understand what I'm going through, and they have the enough empathy to journey with me. And I realized that may not necessarily actually be the case. And I might not be able to find someone like that, including my partner. And it was a very tough pill for me to swallow. Because does it mean that I have to go on with life just feeling not understood? It's not even misunderstood, but not understood. And I did a lot of my own soul searching, if you will. And I've made peace with it, knowing that if no one understands, it's actually okay. It doesn't actually change who you are and what you're capable of. And instead of trying to seek for that one person that can fit into this shoebox that you have built, why don't you focus more on people's intentions of why they want to understand? It's okay if they can't, but there's more merit in them wanting to try, even when they know they can't. So these are the kind of times of people that I keep now, where I am not expecting them to understand me fully, because I don't think anybody can,
that's
right?
impossible.
It's not a realistic expectation anyway. But I keep people who try, and I celebrate that. That's the basis of the friendship, where you always try. So I would say that loneliness may not be a problem per se, actually. But it's finding what you need from it. Like for you, faith was something that you leaned on. For me, it's coming to a certain closure that it's okay. And celebrate other things in life instead. And for some, it might be, just surround yourself with people who share the same sentiment. Or look for somebody or a group that you share just similar interests, then they become the fun part of your life.
So I think there's a lot of good things that we've talked about, and a lot of things that are applicable for people listening. I think what you've mentioned also makes sense in that your identity shouldn't be finding this person. It shouldn't be rooted in another person's capability of understanding you. So in a sense, yeah, I think there's a lot of tools that people can take away from this. So being the change, I guess, in a sense, so for one, being the change that you want to see. So being a brother, being a sister to people, and hopefully finding others who can do that. Being able to understand or find closure that, you know, sometimes that loneliness isn't a bad thing. I would also think that perspective change is important, especially with people who are maybe having unrealistic expectations, right? Like, oh, I'm going to find a friend now, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
Yeah. You know? So I think that's very helpful for people out there who are perhaps struggling with loneliness.
Yes.
And yeah, I think, well, I hope that they will find comfort in that, knowing that there will be times where you will feel lonely, and it can be a symptom, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, is there anything else that you want to say to people who are feeling lonely? Yeah.
I guess loneliness could be a way that you are telling yourself that you need something, you know. And it's not just, oh, I just need to surround myself with people, you know, and it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a specific thing that you're looking for. Yeah, it could just be people who you relate, or it could be people that you want to journey, or it could just be fun-spirited. That's okay too.
Yeah.
Yeah, look for like-minded people. And it can always start with the simplest things. Yeah, like I have friends who meet a lot of friends and he or she feels a lot of comfort, you know, through pickleball.
That seems to be a phase now, right?
Yeah, you know, like pickleball, you know, or you might bond over certain influences on TikTok or Instagram. You know, like it starts from there.
Yeah.
Then you search whether this person has the same mindset as you do, and just explore. But if it doesn't work, that's okay too. It's on no one. It's just the relationship is not giving you what you need.
And that's okay.
Yes, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, taking that into account, like friendships do take time.
Yes.
And I think that's a good thing. It should take time, because if it's not, you know, it's definitely gonna take time.
Yeah, it's not a love at first sight situation. So
it's not.
You need to invest your time,
Yeah.
energy, your brain power. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I think there's a lot of things that we can learn and I think even I'm taking things back as well. I think I'm definitely gonna apply some of the things you mentioned when it comes to loneliness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay if you feel lonely, okay?
Yes.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is gonna sound very morbid, right? But I'm just gonna text my loved ones, I love you.
Okay.
But I won't see you in an hour anymore, and just take a nap and just let it, just let it naturally take me.
Yeah. But at least you put in the effort to finish, you know, just put in a word of love.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're so kind.
Yeah. Totally not morbid. Totally not morbid. I think for me, I'd probably do the same, but I would probably, I'm a bit more of a planner. So I would want to make sure that, you know, finances are done, everything is set in place just so that my loved ones are taken care of. So that's probably what I would do. Yeah. Oh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna get canceled for this.
It depends though.
Mm,
Like how deep, I guess.
mm,
Right?
yeah.
It's a long pause.
Well, maybe I can go first. I think one rule, if I were, some kind of dictator, would be to make sure that everyone feels loved. I think that's one thing I would want that to be a rule. Like, because I think when it comes to the abstract idea of love and the practicality of it, I think a lot of us focus too much on the abstract side of things, and we don't, maybe unconsciously, we don't focus a lot on the practicality of love. So just being able to, go out with friends and pay for their meal, or just being generous with your resources, your time, your energy. So I think that would be one rule, just being
Kind.
practically, loving and kind. Yeah.
Loving and kind. You stole my answer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you did it.
I always tell people, like if everyone just is like 10% kinder, the world would be a better place.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
So,
Yeah.
he stole my answer.
Oh,
Oh, time to rack my brain for all the Marvel movies I've watched.
yeah.
Okay, like this is not Marvel,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I would like to be Violet from The Incredibles.
Oh, okay.
Like be invisible and go everywhere
Really?
without people knowing.
Yeah.
And at the same time, right, it's so powerful enough that she can make force fields.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a 2-in-1 power.
Yeah. True. I think for me would be, well, I really enjoy the idea of time travel. Just being able to rewind time or sort of revisit memories and things like that. So that's one thing I would really enjoy.
So you're not going to change anything in history, right?
I mean, I would change a couple things. I think it would be fun to change a couple things.
But the movies always make it like catastrophes.
Yeah,
when
fair
that
point.
happens.
Yeah. I don't know. I just always enjoy the idea of
That's nice.
time travel.
Yeah, if it's revisiting, it's not bad.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll try and then see what happens. And then if it doesn't work out, then I'll just go back and, undo what I did.
They're gonna make a movie of you.
Yeah. Famous. Oh, sorry.
Are
Yes.
we ready?
Yes.
Yeah. Wait. Do we look at the camera? No, right? We just talk, right?
You got this. You're doing fine. You did great.